Hi, Usman. How are you? As we're now approaching the end of the Btec course, 2 years, 2017 is your graduation, July. 2 years, well spent for you?
Really well spent for me. I feel like when I came in and I started this year, I was really quiet and reserved, and I kept myself to myself. And now by the end of it, everyone's just like a tightly knit family, and everyone just really enjoys it.
And as great as that is, and as sad as it is, that just as that family kind of comes together, like all good things, it has to come to an end. Maybe today's not the time to talk about that, because we've got another 3 weeks of great celebration to come. When you look back though at the beginning, your first production was 1984. What were you in that?
I was playing Simon Goldstein, and
you had to cover. Weren't you sharing a part with someone?
With Anthony.
With Anthony, you had to grow from humble beginnings.
Yeah, it was. I felt at first I was really reserved because I didn't explore acting. I knew it was something that I wanted to do, but it wasn't something I was experienced with, and I didn't have any training, and I just came in without doing anything.
Zero.
Yeah, from zero, and I wanted to let myself go, but at the same time I was really reserved because it was my first show and I didn't know how I would fare with an audience because I hadn't performed in front of an audience apart.
So it's taken time. And maybe that's a piece of advice to give people, that don't expect it to happen overnight. I mean, I know with you, it didn't really click until Clockwork Orange. In terms of the realization that it's okay to play, because your character, you were more than one character, but perhaps for you the character of the chaplain was pivotal. What was it about that role and what happened subsequently that was so important for you?
Because I was a bit so reserved, and I was just closed in a box, and then I was given the role of the chaplain, and the requirements of that role made me just...
He was extrovert, wasn't he? He was certainly a contentious character.
And he was the complete opposite of anything I'd seen or
done
or come into contact with. So I knew that I'd had to put all my personal stuff to a side and just come out and let myself go and just be what I need to be for the role.
Sure.
And then this would allow me for future characters to just not think about myself, because it's not me that's doing it, it's the character.
So then, once you'd unleashed the genie from the bottle, Dracula followed, did it not? And you played Renfield, co-shared that part, which was a maniac in an asylum. You seem to have a lot of fun with that character.
I really enjoy that character because you could just let loose, and you could be as loud as you want and as crazy as you want, and you could just be all over the place.
And would you say that as a first year to have had a speaking role like that was massive?
Massive. It was humongous because it was a lot of responsibility, and it was the second year's graduation show, and we had to step up our game to match how the second years were performing.
And then somewhere in between that, you also came in as a speaking character for Tempest. And was that a big help for you for the Shakespeare production this time?
That was a massive help, because having done the Tempest, I had 2 really big paragraphs, really big speeches.
You played both of them, didn't you?
Yeah, one at the beginning and one at the end, and it helped me come to terms with how Shakespeare's language is and how to speak as a Shakespearean character, and this would help me for Macbeth because I wasn't used to the language, but I was familiar with it.
And did that prep you for the second year?
Massively.
Okay.
For
Macbeth.
Macbeth and our scene studies.
So there we were, having played the chaplain in the first year, seeming that I couldn't get any more sort of extrovert than that. Up pops a little number called Cabaret. And you were thrown in as Victor. The cabaret boy. So it was the chaplain on acid, really. Wasn't it?
It was. I got into this sort of same mind state when I got cast as the chaplain. That was like, how am I going to do this, and how are people going to see me if I do this? And then I realised, just as I realised with the chaplain, but I think I realised with the chaplain a lot later than I did with Victor, because
I would say that's true.
I did it like in the day before the performance. But with Victor, I was reserved at first, and I wasn't really connected to the character. But once I realised that
he was a Kit Kat boy. And he all singing, all dancing.
Actually,
it's a lot harder than it looks, isn't it? You know, it's hats off to those people who do those musical theatre degrees, because the triple threat is easily said, not so easily conquered at all. And it involved singing, dancing, and never mind the iconic nature of the production. Because that cabaret Are you glad that you did the musical?
I'm really happy that we did cabaret because it's allowed me to explore avenues that I would never have dreamt of exploring.
And the potential of what you need to do to do that. And then you moved into Macbeth that you played Second Witch. That again was contentious.
Yeah.
Playing a suicide bomber as a witch in today's age is not an easy choice, particularly in recent matters and what's been going on. How do you find any sympathy as an actor with a character that most people would abhor?
It's you can't let your personal views get in the way. You do the research and you see how people think, the people that put themselves through that kind of stuff, and you realize that even though you will despise this kind of person, that's not how you have to approach the character, because you're telling a story and you have to bring credibility to the story.
You're right. So how you may feel is irrelevant to the process, and actually acting gives you an opportunity to take on a different stance. Do you think it makes you a more
Open
understanding person because you begin to see other points of view?
It opens your mind up to just, like, I wouldn't say I would agree with their views, but I understand where they're coming from.
One of the mechanisms that we use here, and it's not necessarily done by timetable because it's much more than timetable, is having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
A little bit of banter, and banter's used as a kind of very loose term because some people see it as funny, other people don't. But why is it that there's that ability to be able to have fun with people? What is that about?
It allows us to break down walls between us, so there's nothing, so everyone can be who they are and be themselves and not be scared to just say something or think something else. And it allows it to, because we do a lot of hours here, we do need to let off some steam. Yeah.
And everybody says it with the best of all possible tastes. And so it comes and goes, but in the end, when it comes, there is a line in the sand, isn't there? That once the rehearsal starts, or even within the rehearsal, there's fun and games. But if you can't do it on stage in the rehearsal, then don't join in it, because actually, if it throws you, then you have to focus. And then as you move towards the back end, you're playing one of the Musketeers, which is, who are you playing?
Aramis.
Yeah. When this was first announced, were you kind of, is that what you wanted to be, one of the Musketeers?
I really wanted to be one of the Musketeers.
Well, that didn't come by accident, because as in tandem to the Btec, you also did your stage combat course, which ran for the whole year, which you did as an addendum to the Btec. You paid for it. Was it a good investment?
It was an excellent investment. It transformed me massively, because I couldn't hold a sword before I even started, and now I'm doing all these stage fighting with the Three Musketeers.
But more importantly, I'm not so sure at the beginning you even knew what a drama school was, never mind applying to one, but you have successfully obtained a place at East 15 to do the BA in?
Acting and stage combat.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to get on that place without the stage combat classes that I did here.
So, Musketeers is a natural end to that, isn't it, for you? It brings together the very best of the best, really.
Yeah.
And that's coming up in the next 3 weeks. So are you also involved in the directing project?
Yeah.
And you've done numerous productions, haven't you, here? And is that a piece of advice you give to people?
Yeah.
Don't sit on the sidelines waiting to be asked.
Take every opportunity that comes, and don't be afraid to just ask. If you just put yourself forward to help, to be in something, and then you will be remembered, and you'll just.
But Usman, some people say, yeah, but nobody ever asks me.
Yeah, but you can't wait to be asked. You have to do the asking, and you have to go out and grab the opportunities.
But they won't want me.
You just. You don't.
Can you understand that? Because that was a little bit like what I remember when you first came here. It was, everything was happening around you, and you'd hover in the corners. But eventually you stepped forward, whether it was the acting for beginners class, whether it was in the evening diploma, because you did Btec, but one, I think you did other shows as well. So there was lots of opportunities. So if you feel as though you shouldn't, then you should.
Yeah, because you never know until you ask.
Okay, and that's a good piece of advice. So as we move on, East 15 in London. Made good, really, for you. 12 months, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, acting wasn't even on the radar.
Nope.
And now you're heading to the capital with a high aspiration to be able to take it to the next step. I'm sure you'll take a bit of your memory of this place with you.
I would take every single thing.
Yeah.
Because it's transformed me massively. Everything.
Well, that's the vibe of how you want to hear it. that students have taken the best opportunities. And as you move outwards, good luck with the next 3 weeks. You've got Musketeers to come. Safety first. Yeah, because with a lot of people under stage light, it's very easy, isn't it? And we don't want any accidents with that. And I think that's probably true to say that the stage combat course has given you that 100% understanding that there's no risk, because there can't be a risk for audiences. So we wish you the very best of luck, and we look forward to hearing about your future endeavours. Thank you.
Thank you very much.